Good morning, everyone. Habari Gani. Today is the 6th day of the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon. I'll leave a few moments so that you can enter the chat. It is also Friday, December 31st. I'm going to get me some lip balm because we're not ending the year with dry lips. That's not a thing we're going to allow to happen. So I had a bit of an epiphany earlier today about the timing of the principles along the 7 days of Kwanzaa. So I want to talk about that. And I also want to talk about end of year rituals. I'd love to know about your end of year rituals. So there's that as well. Okay. So for those of you who are new to the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon and new to my channel, my name is Injeri. I am a content creator here on the YouTubes. Onyx Pages is a channel where I talk about books, in particular, Black speculative fiction. And I really enjoy doing it. So 2022 will be my 5th year, my channel's 5th birthday. So that's going to be a lot of fun. There will be celebrations and such. And the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon is a project that I've been doing since 2017, since the first year of this channel. And it is an opportunity to reflect on the books that we've read in the past year, using the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, using the Nguzo Saba as prompts. So if this is your first video, you can go back and watch the last 5 lives that I did this week. Tomorrow is going to be our last one. And it's going to be a bit of a celebration because we'll be in a new year. And yes, so before I talk, well, let me talk about today's principle. And if you are watching, thank you for watching live, and please use the live chat function to let us know who you are, where you are, and what your end of year rituals are. Okay, so today's principle is Nia, purpose. Sorry, I'm lying. Today's principle is Kuumba, creativity. I was just reading Nia because that was yesterday's. Okay, so Kuumba. Yes. Okay. Sorry, Kuumba creativity. Oh Lord, I need to start that. Coffee. Okay. Kuumba creativity. Okay. So I've put that in the chat. Oops. I'm just going to edit that because for some reason it's not showing up. Or maybe it has too many characters. Let me try another one. 1 second. Okay. There it is. That's a shorter one. Kuumba. Okay. Okay, so I'll use this one instead. Kuumba. Some people say Kuumba, I say Kuumba. To do always as much as we can in the way that we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. So I think there are a lot of concepts there to talk about. The first idea is to do always as much as we can. So there are 2 qualifiers there. Glasses. 2 qualifiers there. So we are always, right? So this is like an expectation of perpetual purposeful living, right? So we're constantly engaged in this creative process. So one of the things about Kuumba creativity is that we're not talking just about artists, and we're not even talking about artists as like a vocation. We're talking about the act of creating, right? So creativity, I like to think of Kuumba not only as creativity in the way that we understand it, but also as innovation. And I like to think of creativity as a, a, a requirement or a calling or something like that, right? Like if you see something, there's some people who, if they see something broken, they need to fix it. They want to fix it. They if they see something that is inefficient, right, then they can't help but start imagining efficiencies. If they see oppressive things, oppressive states, they can't help it but explore other options. And I'm thinking about um, there's a there's a concept of, you know, having of desiring better circumstances, desiring better communities, like they become irresistible to us. It is a space where people don't experience oppression is irresistible, right? Like we have to do it. We're compelled to do it. Um, so that's the idea of always doing, right? Always being engaged in this exercise. And then there's the quantity, right, of what we do, or the quality of what we do. So it's not only always doing what we can, but it's always doing as much as we can. So we are expected to be in a constant state of doing as much as we can, the most, always. So obviously, if you're feeling tired just hearing that, that's fair. Um, but I think that when you pair Kuumba with Kujichagulia, and when you pair it with so self-determination, and when you pair it with Ujima, collective work and responsibility, all of the preceding principles help this feel less daunting, because if we're sharing the load and if we're working on this together and we are cooperating in the exchange of resources, then we shouldn't really have burnout, because we're all in it together. See, this is why it's aspirational. So to do always as much as we can, and then in the way that we can. So that's also a qualifier. So it's not about just going out there and changing the world necessarily, but I think it is drawing from our talents in the way that we can. So painters paint, dancers dance, engineers engineer, lawyers lawyer, readers read, writers write, content creators create content, right? So it is in the way that we can. And there are lots of different principles about being on path. I know that in Ifa, you know, you're given certain talents. You have roads and paths that you are to follow. You can do whatever you want, but if you stay on path, it'll just be easier for you because the path is it's yours, right? So creativity and Kuumba requires that we are knowledgeable about our skill set and our talents, and that we live our lives in according to those skills and talents. Um, and again, this is all about Nia, purpose, right? Why are we doing this? We're doing this to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. So we are using and enjoying the gifts of community that have been left for us, but we're also adding to them and making them better, right? And we're doing that by being creative, by being innovative, by being cooperative and collective in that capacity, right? So to do always as much as we can in the way we can, in order to leave our community, so it's ours, right? We have ownership, and we are committed and dedicated to it, more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. What I love about the way that this ends is that it assumes that our communities are beautiful and they're beneficial to us. And what we're doing is amplifying that through creativity, through the exploration of creativity. And I think that is beautiful. So we're not just talking about, hold on, let me get, you deserve more of my face, don't you? There we go. Ooh. That's bright. Let me see. I don't know how that happened. Hold on one second. Are you gonna adjust? You're not. Okay, let's see. Okay, we can go with that. So that is Kuumba. So 2 questions for you. Number 1, what are your end of year rituals? So one of the insights that I had this morning when I was thinking about the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon and about Kwanzaa generally is that December 31st, Old Year's night or Old Year's day, the last day of the year, is often a day on which we think about what has passed and what we've accomplished this year. We are in a state of reflection, sacred darkness for me. That's a really important time, and that is also like when you pair that reflection, which I think is more reflection to me feels more like a kind of like a passive exercise, even though it is active, but it feels like a kind of it's backward looking. Creativity is forward looking because you're doing something new. So I think that having creativity as today's principle paired with what people are naturally doing on December 31st, which is just like, whoa, 2021 was this or that, right? That's a nice pairing because it reminds us to propel forward. And then tomorrow's principle, Imani, faith, is not only about religious faith or spiritual faith, but also hope in the future. And so I love the way Kwanzaa ends and how these 2 principles work together. So what are your end of year rituals? My end of year ritual is cleaning and decluttering. So our apartment it's a mess. It looks a mess right now. But I am KonMariing the bejesus out of our place. So I am currently going through my closet and removing clothing, no matter how much I love the clothing or how much I spent on it or how much nostalgia I have. I'm removing clothing that no longer fits me because my body deserves clothes that fit. So I'm getting rid of anything that doesn't fit me, anything that has a style that doesn't reflect who I am. And so about a third of the clothes in my closet are now on the couch and will find better homes after I check the pockets. So I've been doing that with like papers. I also decluttered my bookshelf a couple of weeks ago and got rid of a bunch of books and gave them away. I've done that with clothes. I did my craft cart yesterday, some of my filing stuff. And yeah, so that's sort of my end of year ritual. And then I also go through my journals, my phone, my social media for the past year. And I make a list of all the things that happened to me in this year that I want to remember. And then I collage that. And then once I finish my end of year collage, I'm ready to do my vision board for the next year, which I'm going to be doing in community online on Sunday. So that is sort of like my end of year ritual. Okay, let's see. So questions are, what are your end of year rituals? Put them in the chat. And then also, what is your understanding of Kuumba? And then once we do that, we will get into books. I have a stack of 5 books. Yes, 5 books that I want to talk about. And for my prompt for today was books about creators. And they can be artists, but they can also be any other kind of creator. So books about creators or talented people. And I've got 5. And in looking through these, I realized that I want to read more books about artists because I really enjoy reading books about artists. Okay. Regina Renee, let me have a sip of this. I'm enjoying cold brew coffee. Oh, and this is, speaking of creators, this is the Fuck-A-Thon mug from the Fuck-A-Thon, created by Noria. And the art was created by Brittany of Melon and Eclectic. So go collaboration. That's really lovely. So, Southern Colorado. So your end of year rituals begin at sunrise on New Year's Eve. So that's happening now. Is the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon now part of your end of year ritual? I love that. So they begin at sunrise on New Year's Eve with reading and reflection, and they end at sunset, not midnight, with candlelight and worship. That's lovely. That's really great. And I'm wondering, Regina Renee, if you're willing to share, are these your personal rituals or are they rituals of your faith community? So are there a bunch of people that do the same thing, or is this personal to you, developed over the years? Okay. Hello, Blood Honey. Yes, Regina Renee, many people have questions about your glorious ritual. Okay, so while the interview with Regina Renee ensues, I am going to talk about the first book on the creativity Kuumba prompt. And if you're here watching, we've got Regina Renee and Blood Honey in the chat. Please let us know who you are, where you're listening and watching from in the live show and sorry, in the live chat, and let us know what your end of year rituals are. I didn't realize my voice gets so hoarse first thing in the morning until this. Okay. So okay. So what are your end of year rituals and what does Kuumba mean to you? Okay. First book, Joplin's Ghost. I read this during Quarantined Pages, which was something that I created in 2020 when we thought that the global pandemic might be a month or so. So we started it on March. Did we start on March 30th of 2020? We did it for 5 months. So a group of us every day held live reading, like reading sessions, silent reading sessions of 1 hour. And we just had a community of people reading together, and it was amazing. And as part of that community, we got to sort of just see what books people were reading, and people shared, and it was wonderful. That's where I made a lot of friends and connections, and it was lovely. So this was Joplin's Ghost by Tananarive Due, and I read that during Quarantined Pages. When Phoenix Smalls was 10, she nearly died at her parents' jazz club when she was crushed by a turn-of-the-century piano. Now 24, Phoenix is launching a career as an R&B singer. She's living out her dreams and seems destined for fame and and fortune. But a chance visit to a historical site in St. Louis ignites a series of bizarre, erotic encounters with a spirit who may be the king of ragtime, Scott Joplin. The sound of Scott Joplin is strange enough to the ears of the hip-hop generation. But the idea that these antique sounds are being channeled through Phoenix, her life is suddenly hanging in the balance. How will she find her true voice and calling? Can the power of her own inner song give Phoenix the strength to fight to live out her own future? Or will she be forever trapped in Scott Joplin's doomed tragic past? Stunningly original, Joplin's Ghost is a novel filled with art and intrigue and is sure to bring music to readers' ears. So this is definitely a Kuumba book, and it's Joplin's Ghost. That's our first book. Please put in the chat any books you have or books that you've read that remind you of Kuumba creativity. And again, the prompt is to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And one of the things I love about Joplin's Ghost is that Phoenix ends up getting caught in the spotlight for sure. But she wants to sing and she wants people to be happy and she wants people to connect with her. And I think that's a really, really beautiful thing. And the way that she describes like people in the audience responding to her when she performs, that showed up here in a really lovely way. Okay. All right. You're in London. Hello. What time is it? It's later. Is it like 1? What time is it? 6 ahead? I don't know. I usually mark the end of the year by taking a walk by the river and having a ritual cleansing, aka a bath before midnight. I like that. That's cool. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, London, UK. Thank you. Gina from Wisconsin, you don't have any rituals that you can think of. Well, you do now. Reflect-A-Thon. Okay? The Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon. Thank you for joining, Gina. Wait, Gina, did you win a planner, a Melanin Eclectic planner? Am I remembering this right? From the Written with Purpose series? Did you? Please let me know if you did. Okay. So Regina, for everybody's interest, Regina Renee's ritual is personal. It evolved as a result of you growing into your authenticity. You're an early riser. You tend to be up no later than 4 a.m. Y'all, you and Brittany. I mean, I consider myself an early riser. Like I can wake up at 6 joyfully and get ready to start the day. Today, I woke up at around 6:30. And after like scrolling on my phone, I was like, yeah, I feel, let's go. And then I started like decluttering, and I took my shower, and I put on my Wonder Woman earrings and my onesie. And yes, I've had a different onesie every morning for the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon. And like, I turned our living room into a mess, which made me feel very accomplished. All this before 7:30. So that's great. A deadly inside scoop. She makes ice cream and comes up with amazing flavors. What is the okay? What is that? A deadly inside scoop? Deadly inside scoop. A book by Abby Collette. That is so weird. Oh my God. The cover is so interesting. Okay, so let me just share the screen. That's funny. How did you find out about this book? A Deadly Inside Scoop by Abby Collette. Okay. This book kicks off a charming, cozy mystery series set in an ice cream shop with a fabulous cast of quirky characters. Recent MBA grad Bronwyn Cruz has just taken over her family's ice cream shop in Chagrin Falls, Ohio. Chagrin Falls. And she's going back to the basics. Wynn is renovating Cruz Creamery to restore its former glory and filling the menu with delicious homemade ice cream flavors, many from her grandmother's original memories. But unexpected construction delays mean she misses the summer season, and the shop has a literal cold opening. The day she opens her doors, an early first snow descends on the village and keeps the customers away. To make matters worse, that evening, Wynn finds a body in the snow, and it turns out the dead man was a grifter with an old feud with the Cruz family. Soon, Wynn's father is implicated in his death. It's not easy to juggle a new-to-her business while solving a crime, but Wynn is determined to do it. With the help of her quirky best friends and her tight-knit family, she'll catch the ice-cold killer before she has a meltdown. Oh my God, all that is so punny. That's like every single pun possible. Cool. Sounds good. Thank you for sharing that. Regina Renee, to the question, are we now part of your ritual? Kwanzaa and now the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon are part of my ritual. My faith community does candlelight worship at midnight, which does not work for me because it's too late. Well, yeah, because you get up at 4. So that's why you start at sunset. So that what time do you go to bed? 4, 3, 2, 1, 12, 11, 10, 9. That's 7 hours. You have to, if you want to get, so what? We need to talk. I need to understand how you're making all this happen. Okay, so the next one is The Salt Roads by my favorite author, Nalo Hopkinson. First, let's appreciate the bosom and the belly, because she's given it. She's just like, here it is for all of us to enjoy. Okay. A landmark work by a brilliant young author, The Salt Roads transports readers across centuries and civilizations as it fearlessly explores the relationships women have with their lovers, their people, and the divine. Jeanne Duval, the ginger-colored entertainer, struggles with her lover, poet Charles Baudelaire. Mare, plantation slave and doctor, both hungers. Oh, I'm still sharing, it says. Am I? Can't have that. Stop sharing. Jeanne Duval, the ginger-colored entertainer, struggles with her lover, poet Charles Baudelaire. Mare, plantation slave and doctor, both hungers for and dreads liberation. And Thais, a dark-skinned beauty from Alexandria, is impelled to seek a glorious revelation, as Izili, a being born of hope, unites them all, interweaving acts of brutality with passionate unions of spirit and flesh. This is a narrative that shocks, entertains, and dazzles from an award-winning writer who dares to redefine the art of storytelling. The Salt Roads, so good. So good. Okay, let's see here. How come it's not letting me go back up in the chat? Okay, there it is. All right. Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm glad that you got that. That's wonderful. Sounds like a cozy mystery. Yes. Yes. Awesome. Cozy mysteries. We're loving them. Good, good. I do not. Well, you know what I read. So, although I like speculative works with a mysterious like element to them. So there are a couple of like whodunits, like so for example, Slay has a mystery subplot. Also, what was I just thinking of? Oh my gosh, it was just in my head. Ugh. There's I think Ring Shout does. The Haunting of Tramcar 015 has a mystery subplot, a mystery energy to it. Oh yes, Unraveling by Dr. Karen Lord. Like there's actually a detective. So yeah, that's always fun. Okay, so Gina Lynn, last year I believe trying to read outside my comfort zone during Blackoween. I don't normally do horror, mystery, or thrillers. This one I didn't get till this year though. Yeah, so that's great. You might like Joplin's Ghost if you haven't read it. There is a mystery element to it. There's horror, thriller, energy. So I think you'd like that. Okay, A Handful of Earth, A Handful of Sky is your number one for Kuumba. You started your day with Blood Child and other stories. Come through. Okay, so first, let's get Blood Child. Why is she not showing? Oh, there she is. So we've got Blood Child. And then let's get that Handful of Earth and something of Sky. One moment, please. Let's see if I can. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so these are Regina Renee's picks. So we've got Blood Child, which is a collection of short stories, and I think there's an essay in here by Octavia E. Butler. I can't wait to read this for the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon. For the Octavia E. Butler slow read. Okay. Named a New York Times notable book of the year and now supplemented with new stories, Blood Child and Other Stories is renowned author Octavia E. Butler's only collection of shorter work and features the Hugo and Nebula award-winning stories Blood Child and Speech Sounds. These works of the imagination are parables of the contemporary world. Butler proves constant in her vigil, an unblinking pessimist hoping to be proven wrong, and one of contemporary literature's strongest voices. Octavia E. Butler is the author of and it goes into other things. So my favorite story in this is called the Book of Martha. It was a beautiful, beautiful story. So there's that. And A Handful of Earth, A Handful of Sky, The World of Octavia E. Butler. I love this style of painting. I don't know what it's called, but like the layered colors. So that's awesome. By Linnell George. Octavia E. Butler once wrote that science fiction was simply a handful of earth, a handful of sky, and everything around and between. I think I'm going to use this quote in my journal, my reading journal this year. This book offers a slice of the in-between. A Handful of Earth, A Handful of Sky, The World of Octavia E. Butler offers a blueprint for a creative life from the perspective of award-winning science fiction writer and MacArthur genius Octavia E. Butler. It is a collection about ideas about how to look, listen, and breathe, how to be in the world. Author Linnell George not only engages the world that shaped Octavia E. Butler, she also explores the very specific processes through which Butler shaped herself, her unique process of self-making. It's about creating a writer's life with what little you have, hand-me-down books, repurposed diaries, journals, stealing time to write in the middle of the night, making a small check stretch, bit by bit by bit. A Handful of Earth, A Handful of Sky draws the reader into Butler's world, creating a sense of unmatched intimacy with the deeply private writer. That's awesome. So I need to read this. It's already giving me chills. And the aesthetic is so like scrapbooky. Yeah, I'm so ready to read this. This might actually be my first book of 2022. This is going to be my first book of 2022. Thank you for that gift, Regina Renee. Okay, I guess you could consider this a part of your yes, Gina, Lynn. This is you are in the ritual. This is your second or third year of the Reflect-A-Thon. Thank you for being a part of the family. Okay. What were you noping to? What were you noping to? You have the Salt Roads. You have to put it. Yes, you do. There is, there's such a raw, erotic, sexual energy in that book. And I remember reading it and just being like, man, I'm like, Nalo can write desire so well. I love how she writes desire. I also like how Mia Mackenzie, who I'm going to talk about, there's so many writers who write desire. Maybe what I'll do for 2022 for Valentine's Day is do some recommendations of books that have like the best romance and sex scenes. Because I've encountered some and I'm just like, oh, like just desire, right? Like queer desire. Who's doing it? What are the scenes that I love? So that is going to be a video that's going to come up on yes. Okay. We'll move on. The Hopkinson book sounds interesting. Jean Duval was a real person. Yes, I know. I know that Jean Duval was a real person. And I think that that book was so heavily researched. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy also how she wrote Charles Baudelaire into the story. And also I've been talking a lot about liminal spaces, and there is a lot of like writing from the liminal here that's really powerful. So yeah, definitely check that out. In particular, one of the characters, because I read it last year, so it's fresh-ish. There is a character that is becoming. It's an energy that is becoming, and you actually read it becoming during the story. So at first, the character doesn't even know what it is. And so you don't know what it is because it doesn't know. Nobody knows what it is. And like, as it moves through, right? You start to get to know what, how, where, when this character is. And that's like super powerful. If you like that kind of like liminal, amorphous space, like if you like when writers travel through that space, you'll really like The Salt Roads. That is also done in the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. It is also done in ooh it is also done in um Redemption in Indigo Unraveling by Dr. Karen Lord. There are a couple of other books that have characters that don't know what they are, but you're reading them as they develop, and that's just amazing to read. Yes, please feel free to ask questions. Is reading a creative act? Let's ask the people. If you're in the chat, right? Let me see if I can, I don't know if I can do this. Let me try this. Is reading a creative act? One moment. Let me see if I can go to YouTube and create a poll. Okay. Yes, I can. Is reading a creative act? This question inspired by what, honey? Okay. Okay. All right, everyone. So there is a poll now. There's a poll now in the chat. So let's see what people think. Please participate in the poll. Live action. Okay. I will answer the question once the poll results are in. Okay. So the Sybil Lewis science fiction mystery series might interest me. I have never heard of this. Sybil Lewis SF. Okay, let's look that up. Sybil Lewis author. Okay, and which one in particular? SF Mystery? Oh, wait, I've heard of this. I've heard of Nicole Givens Kurtz. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to try and get, right now it's only coming up on the website that shall not be named. So let's see. Okay, so, okay. Let me just see where I can find because I think, what else so which one in particular? So, which novel? Wow. Okay, so let's just share this so that people can see. Sister Sci-Fi carries the series. Great. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So if we look at, okay, I hope you can see. Let's just make sure you can. Excellent. Okay. So her short stories have appeared all over the place. Awesome. Okay. I think, wow. Okay. Yes, I have heard of her. Okay. So we've got Slay, which is on my shelf. Kill Three Birds, Silenced, Sisters of the Wild Sage, a weird Western collection. Ooh. Kingdom of Aves, Mystery, The Soul Cages, Reunited. Okay, so does it look like, is it this one you're talking about, Reunited? Okay, let's just look at this one. When a soldier returns from the Moon Colony Wars, ravaged and worried about his missing wife, Sybil's gut warns her to pass. Recalling her own days in service, Sybil decides to help Benjamin Satou's locate his other half. The small fact that Satou is a cyborg, a military secret, an ethics nightmare only makes her want to walk away from the case even more. Her curiosity gets the better of her in this fast-paced, futuristic pulp thriller. Okay. Okay. I will close that. That sounds great. I will look into that more. Thank you. Everything about Handful is creative, from the cover to the journal entries to the receipts to the feel of the paper. Awesome. Your computer said you were still sharing your screen, but it wasn't on my end. Okay. The computer lies. Okay. Slay by Brittany Morris. Yes. Her creativity in building that game, world, and those cards, trying to remember if Concrete Rose would work. I read it in January, so it's a bit foggy. I haven't read Concrete Rose. So I don't know. Okay. So let's talk about the next book. The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow. The main character is a librarian, and I think that library sciences, one of the things that I really love about BookTube is that I have been able to learn from librarians, and this is where we're going to tell a heartwarming story from Jerry's childhood. So, as you know, I'm an only child, and when I was very, very young, like 9 or 10 or 11, and school, when school was out and it was the summertime, and summer school was over, because I did summer school, we had 2 months of summer, so June and July. So in June, I would do summer school. And then which I found really interesting, because summer school was held at my school, and it was the same classes and stuff, but the students were different, because for summer school, you could sign up to schools outside of your regular district. So it was always interesting to be in the same classrooms as I was during the fall, but with different teachers and with different students. So I really enjoyed summer school. So summer school. So after summer school was done in June, then we had July. And that was usually a month where I now can appreciate the angst my parents probably went through trying to occupy the mind of their creative child. But I remember loving summers, and I would spend my summers at the library. We lived in an apartment building that was about a 15-minute walk from the local library, and our library was called Humber Summit. And in fact, since we're walking down memory lane, why don't I show you the library, because we're here. So there's that. Tommy and I actually visited this library the other day. It looks very different from what it used to look like, but here it is. Because it was actually quite a magical place for me. So this is my childhood library, Humber Summit. And so I used to walk to the library every single day. And because I'm a Taurus, I would sit in one corner. So that's the library. So I would walk up these stairs here. And I would, and the library was sort of at the top of a hill, because the street would went up. It was a bit hilly. And so it was called Humber Summit, and it really was the summit. So, and these trees, there weren't a lot of trees in my neighborhood. So it was cool to sort of walk up the stairs, these trees, and go into the library. And in one of the sections of the library, I don't know if you can see my cursor, you probably can't, but to the left of the doors, just in that area, that was a children's section. And so I would actually go to the children's section and sit down, and I would read the books in order of placement. So I would start at the bottom shelf, and I would read each children's book. It didn't matter what it was. I would just read it on the floor, sit, read it, close it, put it back in. Then I would open the next one right beside and read it and close it and put it back in. And like one summer, I did like 3 full like shelves of the children's section. Um, and it was cool because I wasn't overwhelmed by choice. I would just read the book that was next. And it was amazing. And after a while, the librarians got to know me and would like recommend books to me, or they would just check in and make sure I was fine. This was before this was before people were very concerned about random kidnappings and such. Um, but yeah, I spent a lot of time at the library. And um, I think as I got older, I stopped, like, I've always loved libraries. But as I got older, I just like stopped visiting them. And now that books are available online, I don't find myself in libraries as much as I used to. I think the next period in my life where I went to libraries a lot was when I was in law school. I spent a lot of time in libraries. I studied in the library and I love libraries. But on BookTube, I meet so many librarians, and I get to like see the world through their eyes and hear them. So like Ashley from Bookish Realm, also Regina Renee. Um, there are a number of librarians who are just like, yo, library sciences are the shit. So yes. So the main character, segue over, the main character in Sound of Stars is a young woman who, so basically Earth has been colonized by these like aliens. And they're an alien humanoid species, but they also have like robot cyborgy species as well. And so the Earth has been colonized, and all of the humans have been put in these like camps, um, and they have to, like, they're not allowed to engage and explore the arts. Music is outlawed, like books are outlawed. And there's a young woman who has a secret library of books and music, and she lends out these books and provides recommendations and so on. And so yes, so the Sound of Stars talks about like the beauty of art. And of course, whenever you have like a colonizing force, like one of the first things that colonizing forces do is they try to erase culture. So they get rid of libraries, they get rid of places of worship, they get rid of the arts, or they steal it and put it in their museums and don't give it back. All of Europe and North America. And so like, and that goes to show how powerful art is. Art as archive, art as magic, art as so many, art as portal, right? So many things. So I think the Sound of Stars really reminds us how powerful the art is. 2 years ago, a misunderstanding between the leaders of Earth and the invading Ilori resulted in the deaths of 1/3 of the world's population. 17-year-old Janelle, also known as Ellie Baker, survives in an Ilori-controlled center in New York City. With humans deemed dangerously volatile because of their initial reaction to the invasion, emotional expression can be grounds for execution. Music, art, and books are illegal. But Ellie breaks the rules by keeping a secret library. When a book goes missing, Ellie is terrified that the Ilori will track it back to her and kill her. Born in a lab, Morris was raised to be emotionless. When he finds Ellie's illegal library, he is duty-bound to deliver her for execution. The trouble is, he finds himself drawn to human music and in desperate need of more. They're both breaking the rules for the love of art, and Ellie inspires the same feelings in him that music does. Ellie's and humanity's fate rests in the hands of an alien she should fear. Morris has a lot of secrets, but also a potential solution thousands of miles away. The two embark on a wild and dangerous road trip with a bag of books and their favorite albums, all the while creating a story and a song of their own that just might save them both. So that's The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow. Such a sweet story. And I would suggest you listen to Adri at Perpetual Pages. They interviewed Alicia Dow as part of Quarantined Pages. They also reviewed this book. So you should check out their channel. Okay, so yes, there's that. And I've seen Regina Renee getting excited, so there you go. I'm happy that your librarian heart is so very happy. I think librarians are like amazing. Oh, I'm just thinking about something else. What was that? Okay, sorry. There's a scene in a book where a librarian provides a pamphlet to a girl so that she can learn about her powers. There's a library scene. I think, oh, what book is that? There are monsters, a university, a pamphlet, monsters, a kid. Oh my gosh. It's going to bug me. I don't know okay. There's name that scene. There's a story in a book where there's a girl who's trying to remember, try and find out about her powers. She goes to a library and there's a librarian, and the librarian takes her to a secret section of the library. And in that section, she opens a pamphlet, and that pamphlet is from like centuries ago, and it's about magical children. And reading this pamphlet, she realizes that she can either access that power or something. But the librarian is like, you can't go to that hidden section of the library. I feel like it might be in Magnifique Noir. I think that's where that scene is. Maybe they break into a library. Anyway, I love any book where somebody breaks into a library and gets access to a secret, like, spell book or history that helps them like understand things. So I love that. Speaking of which, there's also a great library scene in The Year of the Witching. There's a lovely like library scene that makes me very happy. Okay. Don't get me started talking about library. I mean, obviously, I have my own library in here. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's see some answers to the Blood Honey's question. Reading can be a creative act, in my opinion. It largely depends on how and if the reader engages with the text. I'm thinking about a project, Truth and Fiction. I don't know about that project. Okay. I do believe that reading can be a creative act. I think it's always a creative act because when you're reading, no matter what method you use to read, or whatever parts of the body you use to read, whether you're using your fingers to read Braille, whether you're using your eyes to read text, whether you're using your ears to read sound and voice, however you are reading, you are taking in a world that was or concepts that were created by someone else or compiled by someone else, and you're adding your own oomph to it, right? Like that's why you can have 5 different booktubers read the same book and come away with different ideas. So an example of that is like, actually, you know what a really good creativity book would be is Elysium by Jennifer Brissett. That is a really powerful book that I will not say that I fully understand, but I remember watching Tori Morrow's review of it and thinking like, oh my gosh, we read the same book and had like the same kind of explosion. But that's an example of reading as creative, because you are creating pictures in your mind or concepts in your brain, and your mind wanders. And I think for me as a slow reader, I need that time and space to explore, and I'm engaging with the word. I am filling in some of the blanks that might be left by the writer purposefully so that I can kind of understand where they're going, or so that I can create something new myself. So I think reading is a creative act, and I think it's also creative, obviously, for content creators who are creating book reviews and that kind of thing as a result. So let me just go to the poll. And I'll close the poll if I can get there. Yes, here we are. Okay, so according to our very scientific survey, I think 4 people voted, so thank you. 75% of you, so 3 out of the 4, said that yes, reading is a creative act, and 1 out of the 4 said no. So the ayes have it. Or the A's? The I's. The I's? Yes. Okay. Okay. The last 2 books, I'm not going to talk about them too much because I've already talked about them in this series. The Summer We Got Free, by Mia Mackenzie. As you can see, we've got, what's that in her hand? We've got a paintbrush dripping something red. Let's just call it paint onto the floor. So this character is a painter and she's powerfully magical. This is an amazing book, one of my favorite books of all time. Okay, so The Summer We Got Free and Butter Honey Pig Bread. Not only is like the cover artist amazing, Brianna McCarthy, but the book has a lot of art in it, like cooking art, cooking magic. I feel like there's another kind of art that I'm missing. Is there a musician? There might be, but there are a lot of different forms of art. But the art that I'm thinking about mostly is just the cooking. Like there's so much creative magic in the kitchen here. So there's that. Okay. So those are my Kuumba books. We are at the end of the 6th out of 7 Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon live, cozy lives. I want to thank you very much for being a part of the Kwanzaa Reflect-A-Thon community. And I want to talk to you a little bit about what we're going to do tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be fancy. Okay. So first of all, I am going to be wearing white and jewels because it's a new year. So let's do that. That's why I'm wearing black today, because black keeps me internal. So I wore my black onesie today, and then tomorrow I'm going to have my white onesie. So these are choices we are making. And because I have the Herculean task of decluttering our place, or my parts of our place, I am wearing my Wonder Woman earrings because that's what I need to channel to get it all done. Can she do it, people? Yes, she can. So about that, yes, I will show you. Maybe we'll do a live lighting of all the candles. You will see our Kwanzaa altar. We might recreate it on a lower table so that it's easier to see. But yes, there will be candle lighting, live candle lighting tomorrow. I have now decided. So yes, you will see our altar. Our Kwanzaa altar is very bookish. It is very queer. It is very creative. And yes, it would be a pleasure to share that with you. So yes, the altar reveal. And this year, speaking of creativity, this year we got a custom-made Kanara. Well, a handmade Kanara, made by the father of one of the people who was in like the solar-powered Afrofuturism slow reading group. And so that was really great. We picked it up, and it's made out of oak, and it's the most beautiful Kanara I've ever had. So I'm looking forward to that. So yes, you will see the altar tomorrow. So a couple of things. Number one, I am going to invite folks to join me live on camera. I will do that by inserting a link into the chat, and you can join. So please consider whether you would like to join me on camera, and we will just have a chat. I'll just ask you to, bring the book, right? It's going to be in the morning, so it'll be 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. So yes, I'll be wearing white. You will see the altar. I will invite people to join in the chat. So I hope that you join tomorrow. Okay. You don't own a single onesie, and I think that needs to change. Okay. You have 24 hours. You have 24 hours to get yourself a onesie. So yes, definitely we will be in our onesies, and it'll be great. Okay, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. This was a wonderful conversation. Remember that today's principle is Kuumba, creativity. To always do, to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. All right, read with purpose. See you tomorrow.